الرحمن الرحيم وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون والسلام عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم صدق الله العظيم. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and may Allah's infinite mercy shower upon the final messenger Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Tonight inshallah we're going to cover verses 10 and 11 of Surah Yasin inshallah. So last week we talked about this particular surah, particular verse, وَجَعَلْنَا مِن بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ سَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا فَأَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about those unbelievers, those who would deny the truth when the truth had become manifest to them. It was clear to them. So previous verse talks about لَقَدْ حَقَّ الْقَوْلُ عَلَىٰ أَكْثَرِهِمْ, that the haqq, the truth has become very clear to them, but despite all of that, they still deny it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a reason why some people deny truth. And that is that even when they know it. And Abu Jahl in some of the hadith, he says that yes, I do know that Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has come with a clear sign, but I cannot believe it because of political reasons. And the political reasons were that he gave. He said, if I believe Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to be the Prophet of Allah, then his particular tribe will always be seen as better than my tribe. So it was Asabiyya, it was basically a tribal thing for Abu Jahl. He said that before we were both equal tribes. Sometimes they will win a horse race, sometimes we will win a horse race. Sometimes they will give more, to the pilgrims who used to come to perform Hajj, according to them, before Islam. Then they will feed them. Then other times we will feed them. So it was a competition between us. But now, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Banu Hashim, he is saying that he's a prophet of Allah. That means he's taken the competition out of this world. Before you can compete with the things in this world, but if you take the competition out of this world, then how are we ever going to compete with that? And so the best thing is for me to deny it. And he denied it because of his arrogance. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about that arrogance in a metaphorical sense. The arrogance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that actually what they have is metal collars in their necks. In other words, they can't look down. They're full of themselves, that their necks are so high, as if, although you can't see metal collars, but because they always hold themselves high, as if it's metal collars that are pushing them up, pushing their chin up. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and because of that, وَجَعَلْنَا مِن بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ سَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا فَأَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ. Three things have happened to them. They have created a barrier in front of them. مِن بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ سَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا. They've created a barrier behind them. فَأَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ. And also on top of them. In other words, they've really excluded themselves. And I talked about how these barriers, they're physical barriers, but also, what's in front of us is our future. What's in front of us is creation. What's in front of us is something that we're going to develop. So if you created a barrier in front of you, that means you cannot really progress anywhere. You've created a barrier between you and your bright future. You've closed it off. And then, and at the back as well, behind you, you've created a wall. That means that you cannot learn from your history. Whatever was, in a way, sometimes you learn from your history, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will refer to history in this surah as well, that they cannot learn from it, even though they see around themselves, and also for our shaynahum, and they've covered themselves. And sometimes we also do that. in our own lives, whether it be in our careers, in a relationship, we create these barriers around us, and then we just don't know which way to go to, or who to turn to. We cannot go back because perhaps we've in a way broken off that relationship. Sometimes people leave their family, people leave their home because they are they see things in a very tunnel vision, and they see that what they're seeing is the right thing, and as a result you cannot then sometimes go back because you cut off those relationships. And in future sometimes what you do, because of this, in the situation that you're stuck, you cannot see what's in front of you. In a way, sometimes, like we say, one door closes and so many other doors open. But you have to have that courage. You have to have that trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also the courage, the need to do something. The future is bright for me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about how the whole of the universe Allah has created as full of opportunities for you. So never think that actually all the opportunities have gone. Never think that the phase that you're going through, that this is the end of life. It's a phase, it's a cycle. It may be as long as the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, his particular phase lasted for 12 years when he lost his son, the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. 12 years, he's Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was crying his eyes out. It may be 13 years of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Makkah Mukarramah, when people were not willing to believe in him as a messenger. Very few people believed in him, and the Islamophobia was on the rise. The life became very difficult, all of that. But then after that, in a way, in Medina Munawwarah, after the first couple of years, the doors of victories open on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's why it's teaching us, this particular verse is teaching us about two particular things. One is about arrogance versus humility, and also it's teaching us how don't enclave yourself. Don't become slave to your own desires. Because when you do that, you create barriers around you. Now the next verse is very powerful, and also it really talks about the state of mind that people of Makkah were in. That because of their arrogance, because of their constant denial of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالسَّوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. It's equal for them. It doesn't really matter whether you warn them or you don't warn them. Whether you invite them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or don't invite them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have gone so astray. They have lost the plot so much. They have lost the path so much that for whom la yu'minun, no matter what you do, they are not believers. They are not going to believe. So that's very interesting. The verses, which was verse 6, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِتُنْذِرَ قَوْمًا مَا أُنْذِرَ آبَاؤُهُمْ فَهُمْ غَافِلُونَ. That we have sent you to warn a people whose forefathers had not been warned. So in other words, your duty is to warn. And only a few verses down, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالسَّوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. It's not really going to matter to them whether you warn them or don't warn them. So Ya Allah, you've given me the duty to warn these people, and are you also saying at the same time, they're not going to believe now. What's the difference? It's not that, and there's contradiction. It was the fact that our job was to send a messenger to them. And the Prophet ﷺ, your job was to warn them. A people whose forefathers had not been warned. But now, given that truth has become clear to them, given that all these signs, are in front of them, they're still not believing, and as a result, now don't worry too much about it. Because in other places, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you were so passionate about passing on Islam to them that at one stage, as if you were going to, destroy your health, it's going to affect you so much. Don't worry about it. It's saying, فَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ, they're not going to believe in you. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then again qualifies that, inshallah. We'll cover that in the next slot. The Prophet ﷺ is teaching us about this, staying away from arrogance. That sometimes the people who are denying the truth, sometimes they cannot go past their own situation is because of this arrogance. Now the Prophet ﷺ, all his life, he led a very a humble life. One day an angel came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the narration goes that angels were like so tall, so high, that the angels in a way, his legs were going up to a mountain. In other words, like only legs are obviously half of our body. So it's like he was so high and so tall that actually his waist was touching mountain, height of mountain. So it shows the grandeur of this angel. And this angel came and said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you a choice, O Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You are a prophet of Allah. Either you can be a king prophet, like Sulaiman alayhi salam, like Dawood alayhi salam, like in a particular Sulaiman alayhi salam, that he was a prophet but also a king. Like Yusuf alayhi salam, towards the end of he also became the king of Egypt. So you have a choice. Either you can be a king prophet, or you have a choice that you can be a prophet that is with poor people. The prophet who lives with poor people, the prophet who is raised with poor people on the day of judgment as well. Yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ said that angel Jibreel was also with this angel who came. So the Prophet ﷺ often looked towards angel Jibreel, because it's like in a way, what is angel Jibreel thinking? I've got a choice, which one should I take? And it happened like for instance, when the Prophet ﷺ went on Mi'raj, on that day, 2 glasses were brought. One was a glass of milk and the other one a glass of wine. And they were offered to the Prophet ﷺ. And even on that day, the Prophet ﷺ looked towards angel Jibreel. Not that he needed guidance from angel Jibreel, but it's just like to show that angel Jibreel was also part of this choice. Sometimes we do that to make them involved in what. Obviously, angel Jibreel has come. He's come for a reason. Otherwise, this other angel was enough, because he's the one who's offering the choice. So the Prophet ﷺ, chose to be with the poor people. And that's a huge, in a way, a huge honor for the whole ummah, because how many kings are going to be in the world? If you really take, how many, like in any country, like let's say, there's a country that has a 200 million population. Out of 200 million people, only one person is going to be a king. Out of 100 million people, only one person is going to be a king. Although each one of us would like to be a king. But take how the Prophet ﷺ, how generous he was, that he said, Ya Allah, I don't want to be king. Because in a way, then very few people will be able to feel attached to the Prophet ﷺ, to follow the example of the Prophet ﷺ, but actually being, he said that I'll be amongst the ordinary people in that sense, that those who are not king. Now after that day, this is what I was going to bring you to. After that day, he said that the Prophet ﷺ, often when he ate food, he would lower down. So that so there are two, 3 ways of sitting down, isn't it, when you're eating. You can be upright, like really, kind of like that, and you can take, a lukma, take a spoon, in your hand, and you could eat it, like all like that, yeah. Or you could be lower down like that, in your posture, and when you're eating, you are in a way showing this humility. That food is Allah's blessing. So Prophet ﷺ, after that day, he always did that. There was a lady in Mecca who was very, in a way, ill-tempered, and also, in a way, she had a very kind of a sweet tongue, always like lashing out here and there, and she was well known for that, So one day she walked past the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ is eating like that, he's low down. And he's eating, and like usually it's the slaves used to eat like that, because obviously when a poor slave, what they're going to be proud of, he's happy that he's got some food, and as a result he's just in his own world trying to eat like that. So the Prophet ﷺ was eating food like that. Now she walked past, and she to make fun of the Prophet ﷺ, She said, eating like an abd, eating like a slave. You are, the princes of Banu Hashim, princes of this area, and you're from that, an aristocrat family, and sitting down like eating like a slave, like an abd. She used that term, yeah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, who can be a bigger slave, bigger abd than me? That I am the Abdullah. I am the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who can be, in a way, therefore I should be more humble, I should be showing more humility that Allah has given me this food. Now she wasn't expecting that. She said actually, yeah, the Prophet ﷺ will actually try to argue with her saying, who are you, to say to me this, like this is what we do, in a way. And that's why she was known for arguments, because she would start that off with them, but she didn't have to say that to the Prophet ﷺ, she could just easily walk past. But she was always looking for trouble. So she thought the Prophet ﷺ would respond, in a harsh way. And the Prophet ﷺ shocked her, saying, actually, you're saying just a servant? I'm the servant, the biggest servant, I'm a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, because she was shocked, she goes, oh, can I join in? Can I eat with you? Can I sit down like you are sitting down and eat? Yeah? So the Prophet ﷺ said, most welcome, sit down, So she sat down, and the Prophet ﷺ, in a way, offered her something, like if someone is sitting down, you offered something to her. She said, no. This is in a way how the hearts will change when people communicate with the Prophet ﷺ. When even how the hearts will change when the Prophet ﷺ looked towards somebody. Yeah? She said, no, I don't want this food that you're offering me. I want that morsel that's gone in your mouth, and if you give me that with your saliva, Prophet ﷺ. Never before she wasn't a Muslim. That's why she was mocking the Prophet ﷺ. But how just by talking to her, and in a way it was the humility of the Prophet ﷺ that brought her towards Islam. Otherwise she didn't have to make that comment. The Prophet ﷺ didn't have to say, the Prophet ﷺ could have just dismissed her, off on your way. Who are you to talk to me? It was the humility. The Prophet ﷺ offered her food, the way he talked to her, that she said immediately, that give me the morsel that's in your mouth so that I can also embrace Islam and be one of your followers of Prophet ﷺ. So this, there are numerous examples in the life of the Prophet ﷺ like that. Going back to the verse, the next verse in Surah Yasin, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا تُنذِرُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ الذِّكْرَ وَخَشِيَ الرَّحْمَنَ بِالْغَيْبِ فَبَشِّرْهُ بِمَغْفِرَةٍ وَأَجْرٍ كَرِيمٍ. So the last verse said that people are not going to believe no matter what you do. Some people are not going to believe no matter what you do. But it's not that everyone isn't going to believe, and as a result, you just leave them to it. The next verse then qualifies that who will believe. It says, you want only him who follows the reminder. إِنَّمَا تُنذِرُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ الذِّكْرَ. That there will be people, when you're warning them, who will actually follow the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in a way, focus on them. Don't be disheartened, and don't think that actually, I'm doing this. Prophet Noah alayhi salam, he did it for 950 years, carried on in da'i, and a person who's giving da'wah, whether it be a child to a parent, whether it be a family member, whether it be husband and wife, sometimes we do da'wah to the rest of the world, or to other people, but in our own homes, we just think, I told him a week ago, I said to him, come to masjid with me. I said to him, I said to her, pray, but that's it, she's never going to pray. It's not like that. Our job is just to remind them, obviously not in a way that they get so annoyed that actually they don't, every time you open your mouth, they actually say something else. It's not like that. It's having that collegiate environment, loving relationships, but actually not keep on reminding them as well. And mostly it's through our actions that people are drawn towards Islam rather than actually word of mouth. It's not preaching, it's practicing that draws people to Islam. And so the Prophet ﷺ is being told that you warn only him who follows reminder, and then not only follows reminder. Now, following a reminder is different to actually practicing it. Because like for instance, prayer, you have to practice it. But a reminder is that it's not an outward action. It's like, so you follow the reminder, you say, well, you remind somebody, to turn, let's say, you remind somebody that tonight turn the lights off. They don't have to immediately do it there and then. It's something that they remember. So the Prophet ﷺ in a way is being told, and through them, through the Prophet ﷺ, we are also being told that there will be some people in your life who will not immediately do the things that you want them to do, or will not follow Islam in the ritual sense, that practice those ritual things, but they will follow the reminder. Reminder will stay with them. And that's why you find sometimes, even after 10 years, 15 years, people come back to those things. Because reminder is there with them. So it's remembering that. And then, وَخَشِيَ الرَّحْمَنَ بِالْغَيْبِ. And so khashiyah is the fear. And they fear Rahman without seeing him. Now this is very interesting. That how Allah subhanahu usually, like obviously you fear something that's qahar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have said that, fear something that's avenger, that's going to, in a way that, that's really, the terminology that could have been used could have been very strong. But rather than that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to His mercy. That they fear the most merciful Lord without seeing Him. And as a result of that, now what they're going to get, they're seeing the life of the Prophet ﷺ, he's a prophet of Allah, not many people are willing to follow him, people are ridiculing him and his followers, people are trying to abuse him and his followers. As a result, what is it, for me? What is it in it for me? That if I follow, what am I going to get? If I fear the most merciful, what am I going to have? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately says, فَبَشِّرْهُ بِمَغْفِرَةٍ. Give them the bashara, give them the good news of forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now I've said that many, many times, forgiveness is not about the next world. Forgiveness is not about what's going to happen in future. Forgiveness is that in a way you have been forgiven, and as a result you are sinless. That you haven't got any sins on you. And when you don't have those sins on you, then the first thing is that you are closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's our sins that take us away from mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's the terminology that's used in the Holy Quran, bimaghfirah, that forgiveness is not about being just forgiven on the Day of Judgment, because sometimes we have that in our psyche. And as a result we say, well, whatever happens on the Day of Judgment, the forgiveness is about being closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So give them the glad tidings of that. وَأَجْرٍ كَرِيمٍ, and give them the glad tidings of huge reward from someone, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in a way, the term Kareem could mean that, the generous reward, but also reward from the one who is most generous, Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the good news to those people who are actually taking heed and who are taking that warning from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's contained in the first ruku ends on that as well. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps us to understand the Holy Quran. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us from His mercy, from His forgiveness, and also a huge reward so that we can be successful in this world and in the next world as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the love of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, help us to follow the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and also bring ease to our lives, bring happiness to our lives, and that all the people that wherever, Ya Allah, difficulty they are in, whether they are in financial stress, whether they are in mental stress, whether they are physically unwell, in particular Tasneem Sahiba, Ya Allah, she's been unwell for a long time and we've been asked to pray for her again. Ya Allah, grant Tasneem Sahiba shifa, and Ya Allah, grant her a long healthy life. Ya Allah, all our loved ones who are bimar, who are, Ya Allah, ill and poorly, Ya Allah, grant them shifa from your court. Ya Allah, those of us who are looking for a job, Ya Allah, help us to find a job and help us to have a lawful and halal earnings. Ya Allah, those of us who are looking for a way out in the situations that we're in, Ya Allah, make it easier for us to reach the destination that's best for us. Ya Allah, help us all to unlock our potentials. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم صلى الله وسلم على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وارحمنا معهم برحمتك يا رب